Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in this video, I wanted to recap T-Mobile's quarterly earnings that took place yesterday. It's been about 24 hours now. All the information has been digested. So I wanted to speak on it some more and get it out the way. And now we look forward to the next quarterly earnings of Q1. So I had a buddy reach out to me yesterday, and he told me, he's like, the numbers just don't look right. They had lower ARPU. They had lower cash flow. What happened? And I tried to explain to him, and I know I didn't mention that on the videos yesterday. T-Mobile is still in the middle of operating two networks, two companies. So there are heavy costs involved with just, the decommissioning cost, operating two networks. They're still doing that. They're doing store consolidations. All that is an upfront cost that there's no way they can cut corners on it or get around it. There's no way. They have to pay that. And I only see that ramping up through 21. And that's exactly what T-Mobile warned investors about yesterday. And as you see by the title from the Wall Street Journal, I will leave this article in the description down below so you guys can check it out. T-Mobile warns investors of more costs ahead as it digests Sprint. So there is another cost initiative that is estimated to cost upfront $2.5 to $3 billion upfront. They spent $1.9 billion this year on very, very similar activity. So they are building the anchor network. That's part of that $12 billion that they're spending this year on CapEx. There's just a lot going on. This merger is at mass scale. This is not the smaller Metro PCS merger that they were used to from years ago. This is at mass scale. So there's heavy decommissioning costs involved. As they build the anchor network, they start migrating the Sprint customer. And as you will see here, I'll just read it off to you. The Bellevue, Washington company said it would spend $2.5 billion to $3 billion before taxes, folding the stores, employees, and network infrastructure it acquired from its one-time competitor into the new business. The company spent about $1.5 billion on such expenses last year. So again, it's a burden that T-Mobile is going to have to pay up cost. They knew this would happen. I'm sure if we backtrack, they disclosed this during the process of getting the merger approved. I'm sure this was disclosed to investors, T-Mobile, Deutsche Telekom, so this should be nothing new, but this was coming. And as they invest heavy back into the company, these are going to be the results that the investors should look forward to, that cash flow is going to be lowered. Estimates are likely not going to be exactly as high as they used to be. And that's when the synergies come into play, but it's going to take a while for those synergies to be fully realized. They have to completely decommission the Sprint asset on the network to realize those synergies. That's going to take some time. I have yet, and I make this very clear, I have yet to see a Sprint keep site receive T-Mobile equipment. I have yet to see that. If you've seen it, let me know. I haven't seen it around here. I've been looking all over. I haven't had anybody say, hey, look, this Sprint tower is getting T-Mobile equipment. So that's not happening yet. They're going to be heavily involved and invested in another integration process with Shentel. That's another integration in Swiftel. So they are going to be heavily invested in just doing that, meaning the $12 billion going towards their existing footprint, so touching the towers that are already available, and then integrating Swiftel and Shentel. So when do they expand at grand scale? When is that going to happen? Meaning, when do they start expanding outside of their footprint? If the cash is pretty much tied into those projects. And it's going to be debatable, but that 12 billion, how much of that is going to be left over to spend on an expansion? That 12 billion is going to be tied to that project for the next 5 years. And I was hoping that maybe, just maybe, they would announce yesterday that some of that capex, that 60 billion, is front end loaded, and then capex would maybe lower at year 4 or 5. But it seems, I got to give it to them. T-Mobile is a well-run company. It looks like they're sticking to the plan. The strategy was 60 billion over 5 years. That would mean 12 billion a year. And based on what I heard yesterday, what we're seeing, I don't think they spend a penny more than that 12 billion. It fits right within their plan. It fits right in the strategy. And that's how T-Mobile is going to run it for the next 5 years. So maybe at year 4 or 5, there is some excess money left over for that type of expansion. But if they carve out some of that capex for expansion, then something else is going to slow down. The integration, the anchor network, they're just going to slow it down a bit to expand the network. So it's going to be interesting. Regardless of what happens, it's going to be very interesting how T-Mobile pulls this off. But they have a lot of work ahead of them. They won't publicly admit it, but they have a lot of work to do. I'm telling you right now. I've been seeing some internal stuff. I've been talking to some people. There's a lot going on at T-Mobile, a lot. And I don't know if 12 billion is necessarily enough to pull all this off. So again, this was just a recap of yesterday's quarterly earnings for T-Mobile. So this is going to end the quarterly talks until Q1. So let me know again how you feel about this. Did you think maybe the 12 billion is enough? And yes, I know T-Mobile does not operate its own fiber, so they don't spend money on that. That's fine. But again, 12 billion is still a tight budget for what they want to do. We're talking a massive nationwide integration with its own network. Then they're integrating Swiftel and Shentel. And then they still have to build 15,000 sites, new sites, to expand outside of their footprint to make their network larger. I don't know if 12 billion in a yearly capex is enough. Verizon is spending 18.2 on wireless and fiber, and AT&T is spending 15.7 billion on wireless and fiber. So, in that same 5 years, both AT&T and Verizon will have spent more. Again, this is just network talk. Like I said in my other video, do I think business-wise and how the company is ran and how successful it will be? I think T-Mobile excels. I think they win. But, in terms of growth and how their business is structured, yes, they win. But on the network side, I still think that crown will go to AT&T and Verizon. They just have more infrastructure, more sites, more small cells. T-Mobile is shying away from small cells at the moment. There's just there are speed tests out there right now where AT&T has 50 megahertz of total spectrum on air, and they're doing 300 megabits per second. T-Mobile has over 120 on NSA, including band 41, and they're doing 400. I know in some markets they're doing more, but that lets you know that it's backhaul constraint. So when is that going to come? When are we going to start seeing that higher backhaul? Which I don't blame them. It's expensive. It's going to increase the OpEx tremendously. It's that cut and dry. It's either you spend capex or raise your capex to build your own fiber and save the operations cost long term, or you call up the third parties and say, I need to boost my backhaul. What is it going to cost me? It's really that cut and dry. There's no other way around it. It's that cut and dry for them. So let me know how you feel about this. Again, looking forward to reading your comments in the comment section down below. If you have been on the channel or you are new to the channel and you have not yet liked, share, subscribe, make sure you do so. Hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload content. Make sure to follow the social media outlets for more interaction and updates. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.